Hi, all. It's Dylan with Nalini from Rethink Trust. We have known each other for a while, and we are excited to talk to you here about everybody's favorite question. Okay, what about me? Most of the security industry seems not applicable to the ordinary person.
Right. And, it all comes down to what can we affect and what's affecting us, right, Dylan? So we're going to hone
Mhm.
in on three key areas today and demystify some of the things that you can do to better protect yourself. And then, time permitting, we can venture into the world of data privacy as well.
Yeah. So I'll play the foil. Nalini, I see on the news, CNN, Fox, CBS, a lot of hackers in Russia, in China, bad things happening to people. How worried should I be?
Well, if you haven't done a couple of key things, I would say you should be very worried about identity theft and fraud. And I'm speaking primarily here to a US audience
Mhm.
because it's highly likely some, if not extensive, data about you is already being traded around on the dark web.
Sure. So, for instance, um, should I be concerned if my credit card is out there, if my social security number shows up on the dark web? What happens if this is true?
Couple things. One, someone may try to purchase things in your name, either with a stolen credit card number, for example, or try to get a loan out in your name. And fear not, there are things that you can do.
Right. Awesome. What else? What else might happen?
Um,
Like my social security number. My
oh,
doctor wants my social security number, and I
yes, and they
feel
don't
nervous
actually
about
need
it.
that. Yeah, you can refuse that. One of the biggest frauds out there is people stealing your tax refund from the
Mhm.
IRS.
Right. I
And
know a
that
lot of
really does
people.
happen. Mhm.
Yes. And it's fairly annoying. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah,
So
and then the
it's
other annoying thing I wanna make sure we bandit is, what happens if you get an email that looks really genuine and people are trying to scam you for money, or they're calling you and pressuring you, right?
right. Everybody's grandma has gotten those calls, and
Mhm.
most of us have gotten a lot of them too. So, is it worthwhile to make an effort to try to keep my information secret, like my payment details, my credit card number, my social?
Um, yes and no, and you and I may differ on this. So, um, I don't store any payment information online. I actually
Mhm.
retype it every time. I do it for security reasons, but also to help slow me down because
Mm.
very clever marketing people are like, "Buy now," right? So I don't wanna give in to that emotional craving, to purchase things, but I just don't store it. The
Sure.
second thing that I do, and not everyone, actually, there are free plans available, but not everyone wants to go through this extra step. You can go through a service like privacy.com, or IronVest and get one-time use, credit card numbers. That's another thing you
Mhm.
could do. But if we
Yeah.
wind back and say, all right, at the beginning of our webinar, I talked about how our data is likely already out on the dark web being traded. The best thing that you can do is freeze your credit. You do not need credit monitoring. That is BS from the same people that hoover up all of our data in the name of being credit bureaus. But freezing your credit with the 3 or 4, depending on um, things in the US is a very prudent strategy. And I did that several years ago. And first of all, mail solicitations stopped. It was great.
Yeah, you
And
don't have to worry about cutting them up
right?
anymore whenever you get them.
Nope. And you can unfreeze one or more of them when you need to. For example, if you're buying or leasing a new car, or submitting for a mortgage or a refi or something like that. And it's not that big a deal to unfreeze.
Yeah.
So freezing credit. And it's amazing how many people have not yet done it, because it's been out there as a core strategy. But I think it's fundamental, particularly in the United States.
Right. I have heard 3 main threats. And you might get credit fraud. So someone takes out a loan in your name and you have to clean up the mess. You have to call up the bureaus and say, no, that wasn't me.
Mm-hmm.
Someone
Not
else
fun
took a
to
credit
do.
card out. Right.
Mhm.
Unless you can live with, I don't know, 150, 200 point credit hit for 7 years until it like falls off. Also could be painful.
Indeed.
The second one that you mentioned was fraud. Like the old, hi grandma, I'm in Mexican prison. You need to send me $4,000. Or just people trying to trick you out of money, pretending to be your bank. As you say, people who are just trying to get you to click without thinking about it. And that happens a lot, both to
A
businesses
whole lot. Yeah, and it's
and
not gift cards
consumers.
anymore at Lowe's, right? It's all online, and they drain your bank account before you know it.
Right. Yeah. Venmo and Zelle are particularly notorious for this, because like once that money leaves,
Yeah,
10
there's no
seconds later, it's
recourse.
too late. Right.
Yeah.
And then finally, people doing tax returns before you can, running off with a fraudulent check from the IRS, and then you get to spend a lot of time on the phone with the IRS trying to fix their error.
Yep. Which is a big pain in the butt.
Yeah. I
Even
know
though
several
they're
people have
very
done that.
nice. Yeah. Mhm.
They are very nice, but I don't know anyone yet. Please tell me if you are one of these who would rate calling the IRS to fix their mistake as one of their like, yeah, I would like to do that this week
Yeah, it does
activities.
not qualify as a hell yeah
Yeah, right.
item ever.
Yeah. So I agree. This is like 95% of the risk for the entire population, and 99 point several nines for most of it.
Right.
Unless you're a mafioso, unless you're a head of state or a military VIP, this is all you need to worry about.
Mhm.
And you mentioned there's easy fixes for all of them. For the credit, to someone taking out credit in your name, just do a freeze. Easy. It takes you 20 minutes. What do you do for fraud? How would
Like
you
the
make sure
IRS?
you don't get
Yeah.
tricked?
Oh,
No,
that
just
you
like
don't get tricked.
someone tricking you into giving them money.
Yeah. The first thing is I won't use Zelle or Venmo. So I still
Mhm.
recommend that. Don't use them, because there is no recourse afterwards, as you mentioned. I would go directly to the website that you want to purchase from. First of all, make sure. So if you get a call, someone saying from your bank, and they want personal details, hang up, call your bank and go, did someone just call me? That can take care of nonsense. And if you still want to buy something, great, go directly to that website, use a credit card. Don't use a debit card, use your credit card, because there is good recourse there to dispute the charge.
Yeah.
And I'm really big on segmenting things. So using single email addresses, using single cards. Privacy.com, for example, has a free service for up to 12 transactions. If it's from
Mm.
your bank account or a debit card, I think there's a small charge if you use a credit card. But the neat thing is you can say one time only, $50, only this merchant. That's really powerful.
Yeah.
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 Especially if you're not sure you trust them to not rebill you every month ongoing.
Mhm.
How many of us has that burned?
Mhm.
You know, in a similar vein, so in business payments, virtual credit cards have become very popular. So you
Yep.
can say this is how much I'm willing to spend on this card per month, and it will refuse further charges if it goes beyond that limit. And you can say only this vendor can
Yep.
bill. And
I
it is-
love those services. Love
Oh,
love them as a businesswoman. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
what's better is you can very simply, like if you have a dispute with the vendor and you don't want to pay them anymore, you want to
Mhm.
stop their ability to auto bill, you can delete the card.
Yep.
And it's so fast and so easy, and it doesn't affect any of the other purchases you've got. Because when you got one card for everything, you got to go tell everybody else the new payment details just to cut off one vendor. So
Exactly.
annoying.
And it also helps with, speaking of annoying, vendors that make it very difficult to cancel, which is
Yeah.
illegal.
Oh yeah.
And
Calling Comcast. Holy buckets. That's
yeah,
a terrible experience. Right.
yeah.
I forgot about that.
And, the FTC and the state attorneys generals have a lot on their plate. So it's, worthy of complaining, but it's much faster if you just use a virtual card and say, no, no mas.
Right.
You're not doing that anymore.
And so while these are mostly in the business world,
Mhm.
I have noticed that Capital One offers, like with their credit cards, you can provision like up to 20 virtual cards as well. I'm not sure
Mhm.
if you can create the same restrictions as a business, but it does give you that ease of cancel.
Well, that's
That-
cool to know. Yeah, I'll go look that
Yeah.
up. Privacy.com works for both individuals as well as for
Ah.
smaller businesses.
Is it
Um,
free?
There is a free level, which
Uh-huh.
is 12 transactions a month, and then a very affordable, I think it's $5 a month, where you can start to do categories, and it bumps it up to 20 transactions, and you can go up from there. And there's a tier where there are no foreign transaction fees. If you're buying a lot of things from overseas, you don't pay 3%. So
Mhm.
yeah, there are now good options out there for
Mm-hmm.
personal cybersecurity, and also it's a privacy masking tool. IronVest is upgrading their platform, but they do this
Mhm.
as well. So it looked as only IronVest and Chase, which is my business bank, and I use a different bank for personal stuff. All they see is privacy or IronVest. They don't see the merchant that I actually transacted
Mhm.
with. And I think this is an important, ninja step, right beyond
Uh-huh.
the first step, because these companies analyze all that data
Right.
to sell you more
Oh,
stuff, including
future
your bank.
episode.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about the last threat. Someone
Mhm.
taking out, filing a tax return before you do, running off with a lot of money.
Yep.
What can people do about that?
It's so simple, you're not gonna believe it, Dylan. All they need to do is get a PIN, an identity protection
Uh-huh.
PIN is what the IRS calls it.
Uh-huh.
And I think we'll furnish these resources, right, to
Yeah.
folks. We'll do it on our respective LinkedIn pages. You have your PIN, no one else can claim to be you.
Mhm.
And it takes minutes.
Sure.
So I encourage people to do
N-
that.
Yeah. Now there is a subtlety. Your PIN cannot be like all ones. That doesn't work very well.
No, that's a good point.
And I know some accountants who use the same PIN for all of their clients and don't change it year after year. They don't see the
Boy.
value,
Yeah.
right, of because they don't know the threat and they don't know how common the threat is. I
Mhm.
think this is reducing because a lot of CPAs who do personal tax returns are like, the IRS has been cracking down on them because when they get compromised,
Yeah,
the criminals
it's
can,
horrific.
right, all their clients get to deal with this.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, in fact, Colorado, the AG's office levied one of the few big fines on a Colorado accounting firm. I can look that up
oh,
at some other time because
sure.
they just were sloppy. They were
Yeah.
grossly negligent when it came to protecting information. And this leads me to another thought, riffing here. It's for us, never ever use the same PIN or the same password.
Yeah.
Um, you don't repeat it. Use unique passwords, get a password manager. That can be a future episode as well. How do you manage that effectively? But
Yeah.
yes, you should have your own PIN. You should, if you're using a paid preparer, whether that's an enrolled agent or an accounting firm, you should say PIN unique. Your PIN better be unique. My PIN is unique. We're all unique.
Right.
And that's how
The,
you stop it before it could happen.
So my tax preparer may or may not have done this, which is how I have knowledge. And the easiest way to ensure that it was unique is that when choosing my tax preparer at the beginning, I said, I'm going to give you the PIN. And that put me in
Great
control
suggestion.
of ensuring that it was unique and
Mm,
random and not used in any other patterns.
mhm.
And it also, yeah, it puts you in control.
There you go.
All right.
You should
So,
also make sure that any of the information is uploaded using a secure encrypted Smart Vault is a good product that a lot of accountants use. Treseret is what I use out of Switzerland, FYI. Okay.
so how, okay, let's talk about, is this actually worth your time? Okay. How long it takes, what, 20 minutes, an hour to freeze your credit?
Yep.
Takes what, 15 minutes to set an IRS PIN and tell your
Yep.
accountant?
Thereabouts. And then for the general fraud, it
Mhm.
takes between a minute and 5 minutes to check out if it's legit or not, right? You can walk
Mhm.
around the block and calm down if someone's calling you saying an agent's gonna come to your door unless you pay up.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah.
so
And
in less than an
and
hour, you can protect yourself from what? 99% of threats that we have as
almost
individuals in
all
the US?
practical security. And the downside, if you don't do this, like, we're talking 30 hours, 50 hours on the phone. Like, we've been there, folks. Like,
Yeah,
it's
and
customer
there's
service
no
hell.
guarantee of recovering the finances.
Oh, true.
Um, I've helped some individuals, at least staunch the bleeding, but people have been out 15, $70,000. I mean, that is
Yeah.
scary. And then you hear about the occasional wipeout of all of my savings from one of those fraud
Yeah.
situations that we talked about.
Yeah. So, if you're wondering, there you go. Question answered. We have also put together a little sheet in case you were only half listening, with handy dandy links to actually do the things. Print it out, give it to your grandma or your kid. This is easy. I think the link is already in the comments. If you would like to subscribe for more security and privacy content, we'd love to hear from you. I am personally excited. Please let us know if there are questions you've got in this space you wish someone would demystify for you.
Yeah, I second that. And, if you've got something specific, you're welcome to DM me on LinkedIn. And I'm sure the same for Dylan, if you're going to invite that, because we really want to respond to things that are most prominent, foremost in your minds with good practical things to do, because there's so
Yes.
much just blah blah talk out there with generic tips and checklists, and neither Dylan nor I have ever been about that in our respective worlds. Yeah. Okay.
All right, friends. Looking forward, Nalini. I'm really hoping we can make a regular thing of this every month. And we will have questions, I hope, and we will have future topics. I think there's a lot of questions about what breaches mean. There's a lot of questions about how can I get myself off the internet if, you know,
yeah,
it's
I'd love
kind
to
of
do a
creepy.
20-minute talk about that, and I've got some good personal experience in that realm as well, and some recommendations. So maybe that could be our next one.
Awesome.
All right, Dylan. Thanks so much, and thank
It's
you
been a
everyone
pleasure.
for listening in.